we can go about customizing our WordPress blog even further by making use of something called widgets. Now, what the heck is a widget? Well, a widget is very similar to a WordPress plugin, and by the way, we'll be getting to WordPress plugins in the next chapter, so hang in for that one. They're very similar to WordPress plugins, however, they're designed to control content inside your blog's sidebar. And you can use widgets to further personalize your blog if you like. You can get them to do all kinds of different things. You can add in feeds perhaps from your social media. For example, you could add in a Twitter feed if you like, or you could add in a photo stream from Flickr, this sort of thing, right? You can do all kinds of neat, amazing things. What's really cool about widgets is you don't need to know any HTML or CSS to actually make use of them. That said, if you do know your HTML and your CSS, you can take widgets even further and you can customize them exactly the way you want them to appear and behave on your blog. Okay, so I'm looking at my live blog right now, and of course I still have that custom theme that you and I just applied to our blog. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, and on my sidebar, if you're using the same theme that I'm using, then of course the sidebar is here on the left-hand side. On the sidebar, we can see some different headings here. We have pages, and we have archives, categories, and so on. There's our blog roll and our links with our friends and links there, and of course meta down at the bottom. Now, each of these items that sits inside the sidebar would be considered a widget. For example, we have pages. So this entire pages block, if you will, imagine that that's its own separate widget that sits inside the sidebar. And then the same would hold true for archives as well, that entire archives block, this entire categories block, and so on. All of these items that we see here are all individual widgets. That's how it works, right? And of course, at the very top here, you can see that we have a search widget as well. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head back to my admin interface, my admin console there. Keep your live tab open though, because we want to go back and forth quite a bit here to see what happens when we start customizing our widgets. So head back to your dashboard there, your admin console. And I want to go and access the area that's going to allow me to start messing around with widgets. So that's found underneath the Appearance menu. So go ahead and pop open Appearance and then look for Widgets. Go ahead and pop that fellow open. Now, way back at the beginning of our course, we saw this screen, and I gave you a very brief tour of this screen. Essentially what we have here is a box or a module that contains all of our available widgets. Drag widgets from here to a sidebar on the right to activate them. Drag widgets back here to deactivate them and delete their settings. So, in other words, what I see here inside this available widgets module is all of the default widgets that we have available to us here in WordPress. And there's all kinds of them here. Archives and calendar and categories and all the rest of it. And what we'll do in just a moment is we'll take these guys and we'll move them over into our sidebar. Now, our theme only has one sidebar, but many times you'll come upon themes that have multiple sidebars, maybe two sidebars. You can actually drag your widgets to the different sidebars that your theme supports. And then all the way down at the bottom, if I keep scrolling down, we have inactive widgets. Drag widgets here to remove them from your sidebar, but keep their settings. So we'll talk about that in just a little while. Now, there's a couple of specific widgets that I want to point out here to kind of draw your attention to. First of all, if I scroll down a little bit here, we have calendar, a calendar of your blog's posts. Oftentimes you'll see a calendar sitting on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side of a blog, and if you've ever wondered how they actually got a calendar onto their website, this is probably how they did it, right? Categories, a list or drop-down of the categories that you and I have created for our blogs. Links, your blog roll. Recent comments, the most recent comments on your blog, I like that one, and recent posts, the most recent posts on your blog as well. Lots of others in here, but I wanted to point out a few of them there anyway. All right, are you ready to start working with widgets and customizing that sidebar? Well, let's take a look at how that works.